Hello and welcome to a short tutorial on Photoshop basics. Today we'll be covering selections in Photoshop, so let's get started. I created just a simple new document 500 by 500 pixels, so let's start by creating a new layer. So this is the main selection tool in Photoshop. So if you right click here, you can see you either have rectangular selection, elliptical, single row and single column. So we'll go over all of this. So let's get started with the first one. So it's pretty basic. It basically just allows you to make any sort of a square selection. If you hold shift, make sure that all the sides are the same width basically, so you can draw a perfect square. So and then once you have the selection, you can go to edit fill and fill up your selection. So now you have a nice green square in your layer. So let's delete that. Right click here, go to the elliptical marquee tool. This basically creates ellipses, but if you hold shift it creates perfect circles. So edit fill, and now we have a perfect green circle. So I just noticed I didn't create a new layer, but so it created the circle in my background layer. So how do we fix this? Well, we basically can go to edit, step backward and click this a couple of times, or we can just use the shortcut that's written here. So Alt Control Z, press that a couple of times, and we're back to where we were before. So let's make sure we create a new layer this time. Layer new. And let's choose the single row. So this basically creates a row of pixels that is exactly 1 pixel height. So and now let's just create it here. Go to edit fill. So now we see we have a single row of green pixels. So let's go back, Control Alt Z. Right click again, single column marquee tool. Try this one, edit fill. So now we have a single column of pixels that are 1 pixel, that have 1 pixel width. Control Alt Z. Let's go back. So what about more complex selections? Let's say you want to make something that has a lot more curves, or I don't know, maybe some weird shapes. Or so we can either use this tool, which is the Lasso Tool. So this is basically just freehand selections. But this is rarely used, because when you're working with your mouse, the lines just normally get really jagged, and nobody really likes the look of that. Am I right? So the next one is the Polygonal Lasso Tool. So this one is quite useful. You can create these really unique shapes, I guess, and then once you're finished, you just come to this starting point, and you can see like like a tiny circle appears. So this basically means that you can connect the whole path together into a selection. So right now we can go to edit fill, and it's gonna fill up that selection that we made. So let's just go back again, Alt Control Z. But what about more rounded shapes? Well, we can use the pen tool for that. So let's just click on the pen tool. This is basically the mouth of the pen tool. So if you do shape, and let's just click a few times, see it's creating a shape as we click. So we don't normally want that when we are working with selections. So let's go back a couple of times. Yeah, and let's change this to path. So let's just click here, click here, click here, click here, click here, click here. So now we have the basic shape, but it still didn't make a selection. It's just a solid line. So what we can do is just right click and go to make selection. So we leave the feather radius at 0 and anti-aliased on and click OK. So now we have a selection. If you're familiar with the pen tool, you can also create some nice curvy selections, and let's say something like this, and then it goes here and inside here, and then maybe goes here, here, and then here, and then maybe it finally connects here. So we have a nice rounded selection, and same process as before. Click on make selection, and then we can fill it up with a color. So that's pretty much it. There are also some other selections that we can make. This one is basically the same that we can create with the rectangular marquee tool. The rounded rectangle tool might be a bit more useful because you can also set the radius of your selection. So let's say we want 30 pixels on the radius. So if you can see, now we have a 30 pixel radius on all the edges. So that might be useful for creating rounded buttons or pretty much any other things that need rounded edges. So and then just click here, selection, OK, and then we can fill it up, and we have a shape. So let's go back. Now there's also an ellipse tool, which is pretty much the same as this one when working with selections. The polygon tool, create it more here maybe. This one isn't used too often, I think, maybe when creating hexagons or something like this, because you can define how many sides you want of the shape. So let's say 8. So see, now we have 8 sides. Maybe we could create some traffic signs, or maybe a beehive or something like that, but it's still this tool has pretty specific purposes, I would say. And then we have the custom shape tool, so we can just create some custom shapes, I guess. And now let's pick this flower, draw it up here, and as you can see, as you drag, it's getting deformed a bit. So whenever things are getting deformed in Photoshop or not being kept in scale, make sure you hold shift. So see, now it is scaling properly. So click on selection, make selection, edit fill, and now we have a nice little flower in Photoshop. So let's go back. Let's make a new layer. There we go. And let's make a quick squarish type of selection and fill it up with green background. So let's say we want to cut out a circle in the middle of this green square. So we would right click here, grab the elliptical marquee tool, make a circle somewhere inside of here, and then just release. So we have a selection now, But let's say we want to move it, I don't know, let's say a bit more to the center of this green background. So how can we move this selection? Well, we can go to select, transform selection, and now we can just click and drag it anywhere we want to basically. We can also resize it, deform it a bit. And yeah, that's basically it. So position it, hit enter, and then press delete. So now we have a cutout in our green background layer. So that's the main principle when working with selections. You can use them for either creating new shapes or removing parts of new shapes. So it's really a fundamental when it comes to designing things. So yeah, just remember you can make your selections with many tools that are in Photoshop. You can also edit your selections by going to select, transform selection. Oh, one more thing that I forgot to cover. Let's go back. And let's say let's make a new, let's make a new square selection. So just drag a square somewhere inside of here, and let's say you want to remove the green background everywhere but inside of this circle. So if we press delete now, it's gonna remove the inside part of your selection. But what if you wanna remove the outside part of your selection? Well, we can do that as well. So let's just go one step back, edit, undo, Control Z is the shortcut. We can go to select, inverse. So now you can see this tiny selection line here all over the edge of our canvas appeared, and if we hit delete now, we just have a tiny square in the center, and it removed all the outside bits. So yeah, just remember the select tab at the top is very useful, and you can pretty much create shapes with almost every shape tool or selection tool in Photoshop. So have fun and talk to you later. Bye bye.